You probably think canned foods are the safe sidekicks of the kitchen, cheap, fast, and always there when you need them. But what if some of those cans are quietly working against your health? We're talking hidden BPA, heavy metals, and bacteria that don't die just because something's sealed. And for seniors, those convenient foods can trigger serious trouble with the heart, kidneys, and even memory. Today, we're breaking down 7 canned foods you should ditch immediately, and 2 that are still safe. Let's kick it off with the one that shows just how dangerous things get when control slips. Number 7. Vienna sausages. You can smell them before you even pop the lid. That metallic hint, the jelly film floating on top, those pale little links that fall apart when you poke them. For some, it's childhood comfort. For anyone over 45, it's a health landmine soaked in salt. Here's the part the label doesn't spell out. One tiny can usually packs 700 to over 1,000 milligrams of sodium. That's 1/3 to 3/4 of the entire daily limit recommended by the American Heart Association for anyone with high blood pressure. And let's be honest, people don't stop at half a can. You grab crackers, clean it out, and call it lunch. If you're young, maybe you just feel bloated or thirsty. But if you're older, or taking meds for blood pressure, kidneys, or fluid retention, that salt rush throws your body off balance fast. Your heart works harder, fluid builds up, and your prescriptions have to fight overtime just to maintain control. And don't trust the reduced sodium labels. Those cans still punch in at over 700 milligrams each. The FDA only requires 25% less to use that wording. It doesn't mean it's safe. Worse, some brands swap out sodium with potassium chloride. Sounds fine until you realize people with kidney issues or on meds like spironolactone or lisinopril can spiral into dangerous heart rhythm problems. The National Kidney Foundation has already thrown the warning flag on that one. And the danger isn't just in the food, it's in the packaging. Vienna sausages are considered low-acid canned meat, which means they rely completely on flawless sealing and high-heat sterilization to keep out botulism. If the seal fails, you don't get a smell or taste warning. The toxin is invisible and lethal. Need proof? In 2023, Cargill recalled over 2 million pounds of canned meat, including Armour Vienna sausages, because faulty packaging could let contamination slip in. Even if the can looks fine, look at what's inside the lining. Many cans still rely on plastic coatings to stop corrosion. Some contain BPA, others use untested alternatives the FDA hasn't really vetted. Meanwhile, Europe cut its safe BPA exposure level to nearly zero in 2023. The US still turns a blind eye. If you've battled diabetes or hormone-related cancers, that's not a small gamble. And then there are the preservatives. Nitrites keep the sausages pink and help prevent botulism. But when they react in the body, they form nitrosamines, the same chemicals the World Health Organization cited when it labeled processed meats as proven carcinogens. Throw in phosphate additives, which quietly strain aging arteries and kidneys, and you've got a 5-minute snack with long-term fallout. Yes, they're soft and easy to chew. That's part of the problem. They go down fast and hit your system even faster. Tuna mashed with beans or soft scrambled eggs with spinach gives you protein without ambushing your blood pressure and organs. Vienna sausages aren't just a salty treat, they're a compact mix of sodium, additives, curing chemicals, and questionable packaging, all aimed at the weak spots of the aging body. The can may be small, but the damage doesn't follow the same scale. And if that one made you raise an eyebrow, just wait. The next can practically hiss as danger the moment you crack it open. Number 6. Canned tuna. The lid bends, the brine splashes, and that familiar wave of fishy scent rolls out. Part lunchbox memory, part bait shop blast. It feels safe, almost wholesome. Tuna's the budget protein that got us through college, tight weeks, and quick meals. But the trust we put in that can, it's shakier than most people realize. Start with the big one. Mercury, light tuna, usually skipjack, has far less than albacore, but the difference is almost threefold. That might sound like trivia until you remember mercury doesn't just vanish. It builds up in your brain and kidneys over years. Younger bodies might buffer the impact, but for someone in their 50s or 60s, especially if they're managing blood pressure, diabetes, or kidney issues, that slow buildup can lead to tremors, confusion, and neurological fog before you even link it back to lunch. And mercury isn't the only threat in the can. Sometimes it's not what the fish brings, it's what happens after it dies. If tuna warms too long before processing, bacteria convert its natural histidine into histamine. And here's the bad news. Cooking doesn't destroy it, Freezing doesn't touch it, canning doesn't neutralize it. So you open the can, make a sandwich, eat like normal, and 30 to 60 minutes later, your face flushes, your heart races, you start itching or sweating. You think allergic reaction, but it's actually histamine poisoning. People have landed in the ER from that harmless tuna melt. Try explaining over the hospital wristband that lunch felt like a heart attack. Let's talk about the quiet killer nobody thinks about until it's too late. Botulism. It's rare, but when it hits, it doesn't miss. And here's what older shoppers aren't being told. Botulinum toxin doesn't warn you. No smell, no odd taste, no sign at all. Remember that massive tuna recall in 2025? Dozens of brands pulled from Costco, Trader Joe's, and H-E-B because those easy peel lids weren't sealing tightly enough. One factory slip, and the healthy protein you trusted becomes a canister of paralysis in disguise. Even if the lid holds, the inside of the can brings its own problems. All those BPA-free labels splashed across packaging might sound reassuring, but Europe has now decided the safe daily limit for BPA is virtually zero. The FDA, still hitting the snooze button, and the alternatives like BPS and BPF, early data suggests they may be just as disruptive. If you've battled diabetes, prostate issues, or just don't like the idea of endocrine roulette, those three letters aren't a comfort, they're a question mark. And don't overlook the salt trap. A can packed in water can still deliver a few hundred milligrams of sodium. Flavored versions go even higher. In the reduced sodium cans, many slide in potassium chloride to make up the taste. Fine for a healthy 25-year-old, but a legitimate danger for anyone managing kidney disease or taking certain heart medications. One tuna sandwich and your electrolytes can jump into arrhythmia territory. Check the ingredients list closely and you'll spot the quiet culprits: soy broth, stabilizers, pyrophosphates, and other additives that pile extra stress on a kidney's stiff arteries and already maxed out prescriptions. Sure, tuna still offers protein and omega-3s, but the journey from ocean to can is one long obstacle course. Mercury that accumulates in the brain and organs. Histamine that survives cooking and triggers pseudo-allergic reactions. Botulism. If the seal fails, once chemical linings, no one agrees on, the familiar ocean smell might feel safe. The unseen risks lurking inside, not so much. And if canned fish can turn into a chemistry project, just wait until you crack open something as innocent as a can of soup. Number 5. Canned soup. It's branded as comfort in a can, cheap, cozy, and perfect when you're tired or under the weather. But for the aging body, canned soup brings a 3-part ambush: sky-high sodium, sneaky potassium swaps, and chemical linings no one can agree on. Add the lurking possibility of botulism in low-acid varieties, and suddenly that warm bowl doesn't look so friendly. First, the danger you can't see. Soups like chicken noodle, beef stew, and cream of mushroom are low-acid foods. That means they require perfect heat, pressure, and timing during processing. If any of that slips, Clostridium botulinum spores can live on, and once sealed, the can becomes an incubator. There's no smell, no off taste. That's why every health agency repeats the same rule. Bulging, leaking, sprays when opened, throw it away sealed. No sniff test, no reheating, no second chances. Now let's talk sodium. The numbers are hiding in plain sight. Half a cup of condensed tomato soup, about 480 milligrams of sodium. And nobody eats half a cup. One normal bowl equals 1,000 plus milligrams in minutes. Chicken noodle and vegetable beef routinely land between 600 and 900 milligrams per serving. Add crackers, toast, or a sandwich, and you've wiped out your daily limit before dinner. Reduced sodium labels are mostly marketing smoke. Legally, it just has to be 25% less than the original. If the regular version had 900 milligrams, the reduced one can still hit around 675 milligrams. The only meaningful labels are low sodium, 140 milligrams or less per serving, very low sodium, 35 milligrams or less. Now for the twist most people never catch. When brands cut sodium, many swap in potassium chloride, now cleverly marketed as potassium salt. It sounds healthy, until your kidneys can't clear it, or you're on ACE inhibitors or ARBS. High potassium, hyperkalemia, can shut your heart down. The National Kidney Foundation already warns older adults with kidney issues to avoid potassium-based salt substitutes. Yet you'll find them hiding in healthy soup lines. Then there's the packaging. For decades, soup cans used BPA-lined epoxy. In 2024, the EU voted to ban BPA from all food packaging after setting the safe intake level so low that nearly any exposure was considered too much. The US, still shrugging. And BPA-free alternatives often just swap in BPS or BPF. Different acronym, same hormone disruption problem. Layer on the extras, starches and sugars in cream soups, phosphate additives that strain the kidneys and bones, undeclared allergens that keep triggering recalls, and that comfort food becomes a loaded trap. What you think is nourishment often delivers a sodium blast, chemical residue from the lining, and a metabolic challenge your body can't shrug off as easily after 50. That satisfying whoosh when the can opener pierces the lid. It might feel like convenience, but sometimes it's the opening act of a problem you didn't see coming. Want to know what's truly safe in your pantry? Hit subscribe so you're never caught off guard. And while you're at it, drop a like to help spread the word. If that gave you pause, just wait until we open a can of chili, a hearty shortcut that can pack a hidden punch. At number 4, canned chili looks innocent enough. Beans, meat, spices, a ready meal in minutes. But here's the uncomfortable truth. This can is one of the trickiest on the shelf. Why? Chili sits in the low acid zone of canning, which means it needs extreme sterilization, think 240 to 250 degrees Fahrenheit under pressure, to keep Clostridium botulinum from waking up. Done right, it's safe. Done wrong, and you've got a botulism trap you can't smell or taste until it's too late. This isn't just theoretical. Back in 2007, a commercial chili plant underprocessed batches. The result? A nationwide recall, hospitalizations, and some of the most notorious cases of foodborne botulism in recent memory. The CDC spelled it out. Improper heat treatment left spores alive, allowing toxin to form inside sealed cans. A few unlucky diners paid the price. And for older shoppers, the risks don't stop there. The chili aisle is a minefield of sodium bombs, potassium substitutes, phosphate additives, and BPA-lined cans. Alone, each is concerning. Combined, it's practically a chemistry experiment masquerading as dinner. Take sodium. 1 cup of canned chili with beans can hit around 1,000 milligrams of salt. Eat the whole can, like plenty of people do, and you're nearly halfway to your daily limit. The American Heart Association recommends adults with blood pressure concerns cap sodium at 1,500 milligrams per day. That one bowl of chili blows past the halfway mark before a single sip of soda or bite of bread. Now peak at a reduced sodium can, and sometimes the fix is potassium chloride, cleverly labeled as potassium salt. Fine for a healthy 25-year-old, but for someone over 50 on ACE inhibitors, ARBs, or potassium-sparing diuretics, it can push blood potassium into dangerous territory. Hyperkalemia isn't just a lab result, it can trigger dangerous heart rhythms without warning. Then there are the phosphates, those springy chunks of meat you love. Sodium phosphate locks in water and texture, but also delivers highly absorbable phosphorus. Nephrologists warn older adults to limit this. Over time, extra phosphorus stresses kidneys, stiffens arteries, and weakens bones. A slow-motion risk you won't feel until it's already done harm. And don't forget the can itself. Many brands still line cans with epoxy containing BPA. The FDA says current exposure is safe, but Europe recently slashed the BPA limit to nearly 0 and voted to ban it outright. BPA-free? That often just means swapped for BPS or BPF, chemical lookalikes with similar hormone-disrupting effects. Bottom line, canned chili isn't just a meal, it's a cocktail of sodium, hidden potassium, phosphate additives, and chemical linings wrapped around a low-acid stew that could turn lethal if the factory slips. One shortcut, one can, and suddenly dinner becomes a gamble with your heart, kidneys, and nerves. And if chili wasn't enough, wait until we reach something sweet but deceptively risky: canned fruit. At number 3, canned peaches and fruit cocktails look wholesome, nostalgic, and ready to eat. But the syrup isn't fruit. It's dessert disguised as a snack. 1 cup of fruit cocktail and heavy syrup packs over 40 grams of sugar. That's 11 teaspoons hitting your bloodstream before dinner. Light syrup? Don't be fooled. It's still sugar water, just diluted a bit. The USDA defines light by sugar content, not healthiness. For anyone over 45, this sugar surge hits differently. Blood sugar swings don't just feel unpleasant. They interfere with medications, spike blood pressure, and chip away at heart health. A study in JAMA found adults getting 17 to 21% of calories from added sugar had nearly 40% higher risk of death from heart disease. Raise sugar intake further, and the risk almost triples. And it's not just about diabetes. Statins, blood pressure meds, acid reducers, all can collide with sugar's effect. One can hear, a light dessert there, and suddenly your blood work tells the story. Mini hook. Just when you think syrup is the main culprit, the can itself throws in another curveball. Most canned fruit tins are lined with epoxy that used to rely heavily on bisphenol A, BPA. The FDA still says current levels are safe, but Europe disagrees. In 2023, their food safety authority slashed the tolerable intake to near zero, and by 2024, BPA was banned from food packaging altogether. The US hasn't followed suit, yet independent tests still find bisphenols, even in cans proudly labeled BPA-free. That shiny fruit cocktail you thought was wholesome? It's actually sitting in a chemical bath you never signed up for. And those bright red cherries bobbing in syrup? For decades, they often carried FD&C, red number. 3. A dye the FDA banned in foods by 2027 after animal studies linked it to cancer. Some brands made the switch, others didn't. That one cherry is a tiny warning flag hiding in plain sight. Then come the recalls. Just this year, canned pears were yanked after regulators in California found unsafe lead in cadmium levels. Last year, glass shards. Not everyday problems, but proof that canned fruit isn't as drama-free as it looks. So what's the smart move? Drain it, rinse it. Better yet, skip syrup entirely. Choose fruit packed in water or its own juice. Even better, head to the frozen aisle. No syrup, no suspicious can lining, just fruit. Pair half a cup with yogurt or nuts, and you get the sweetness without the sugar spike. Canned fruit and syrup isn't just fruit, it's a sugar bomb wrapped in a metal question mark. Sold as nostalgia, but paid for in risk. If this surprised you, hit like so more people learn the truth, and subscribe so you don't miss the next hidden pantry danger. Now imagine opening a can that's supposed to be all strength and vitality, only to find something limp, gray, and lifeless. At number 2, canned spinach. Canned spinach isn't Popeye fuel, it's more like a problem child. Crack the lid, and out comes a soggy lump swimming in brine, smelling more like tin than earth. Inside, hidden hazards stack up fast for anyone over 45. First strike, heavy metals. Spinach is a cadmium magnet. This metal doesn't cook off, and canning doesn't remove it, it stays. Over years, cadmium accumulates in your kidneys and bones. Europe sets strict weekly limits, and the WHO adds monthly caps. Even small amounts matter when your body holds on for decades. Next, the can itself. Most cans are coated with epoxy. For decades, that meant BPA, and while the FDA claims current exposure is safe, Europe banned it entirely. Many BPA-free cans swap in BPS or BPF, chemical cousins with their own baggage. Salt is another hidden hazard. 1 cup of regular canned spinach can hit 700 plus milligrams of sodium, nearly a third of your daily limit, in a few forkfuls. Even no salt added versions sneak in 200 milligrams from natural sodium and processing. Reduced sodium cans often replace salt with potassium chloride, harmless for some, but dangerous for those with kidney disease or on certain blood pressure meds. Don't forget spinach's natural quirks, oxalates, which can trigger kidney stones, and sky-high vitamin K, which complicates warfarin dosing. Even if the spinach itself were perfect, the can isn't fully trustworthy. Low-acid foods like spinach are a classic botulism risk if processing fails, and you'll never smell or taste the toxin. The CDC's advice is simple. Bulging, leaking, or dented cans, toss them. No taste test is brave here. It's Russian roulette. So, canned spinach may look like a superfood, but it stacks cadmium, salt, oxalates, vitamin K, and questionable packaging, all in one can. Frozen spinach delivers speed without the sludge, and one glance at that limp gray-green mess tells you this isn't strength. It's compromise. If that left a sour taste, brace yourself, because now we're talking about comfort food in a can pretending to be dinner. Taking the number 1 spot, canned pasta, the sneaky danger hiding under nostalgia. Canned pasta has a deceptive charm. Pop the lid, and you're greeted with the aroma of tomato, meat, and something sweet. Childhood memories in a bowl. But behind the comfort lies an ultra-processed trap. High sodium, sugar, preservatives, and packaging chemicals quietly adding stress to aging bodies. It's not just noodles and sauce. It's a factory formula engineered to survive months or years on shelves and taste exactly the same every time. That means starch thickeners, added fats, sugar to balance the acid, and preservatives to keep it safe. Studies link ultra-processed foods to diabetes, heart disease, and higher mortality. For anyone already managing blood pressure or cholesterol, that little red can is more foe than friend. The sodium story alone is harsh. 1 cup of canned ravioli packs around 740 milligrams of salt, with many cans tipping past 1,300 milligrams. And let's be honest, nobody stops at half a serving. For seniors on diuretics or ACE inhibitors, that's half or even all of your daily sodium budget in one sitting. Pasta drowning in sauce doesn't give you the option to rinse away the salt. Think reduced sodium versions help? Not always. Many swap in potassium chloride, which seems harmless, until medications turn that extra potassium into a heart risk. Hyperkalemia can trigger dangerous arrhythmias, making better-for-you labels misleading for the wrong person. Then there's the can itself. Acidic tomato sauce is tough on BPA linings. The FDA says current levels are safe, but Europe has tightened limits dramatically, citing immune system concerns. BPA-free isn't a guarantee either. Other bisphenols like BPS still leach, and studies tie them to heart problems and higher mortality. Additives don't stop there. Sugar and corn syrup sweeten the sauce. Phosphates keep meatballs tender, but stress kidneys, nitrites are linked to cancer, and hidden allergens like milk, soy, wheat, egg, or sesame can turn one bite into an ER trip. Storage matters too. Leaving a can in a hot garage can cook chemicals right into your food. Storing leftovers in the can, the metal tang you taste is the lining breaking down. Simple fix. Transfer to glass and eat within a few days. But how often does that happen? Bottom line, canned pasta sells nostalgia, but every bite comes with sodium spikes, chemical linings, hidden sugar, and age-amplified risks. Comfort food? Maybe. Safe? Not so much. Not every aisle is a hazard. Some shelf-stable staples are still solid. At number 2 on the safe list, canned beans. Affordable, nutritious, and surprisingly heart-friendly, beans are one of the few canned foods that genuinely work in your favor if you pick and handle them correctly. Here's why. Beans are low acid, so they could host Clostridium botulinum spores if untreated. But canned beans aren't just boiled. They're pressure-cooked, retorted, at 240 to 250 degrees Fahrenheit, killing off any dangerous bacteria and leaving the contents commercially sterile. As long as the can's intact, botulism risk is virtually zero. And remember, you can't sniff out botulinum toxin. It's invisible, tasteless, and odorless. That's why the can itself is your safety check. Flat lids and tight seams? You're good. Bulges, leaks, or deep dents near seams? Walk away. No second chances. For seniors, canned beans are often safer than deli meats, soft cheeses, or ready-to-eat salads, which can harbor listeria even when refrigerated. Beans, by contrast, are sealed sterile until the moment you open them, like a locked vault versus a constantly opening fridge door. Of course, most people's real gripe isn't safety, it's the salt content. Canned beans can be loaded with sodium, but the fix is shockingly simple. Pour them into a strainer and rinse under running water for 10 to 30 seconds. Studies show that a quick rinse can remove 1/3 to almost half the sodium instantly. That's the difference between a sodium bomb and a heart-friendly protein source. And protein is just the beginning. Half a cup of beans delivers 7 to 9 grams of protein, 6 to 9 grams of fiber, plus potassium, iron, and folate. For older adults, these are nutrients often in short supply, and beans deliver them all in a cheap, shelf-stable package. Swap a fatty cut of beef for beans once in a while, and you can lower cholesterol, stabilize blood sugar, and feed your gut bacteria with prebiotic fiber. Yes, beans might cause a little gas, but it's manageable. Start with small portions, rinse well, and let your digestive system adjust. The benefits for your heart, brain, and gut outweigh the minor bloating. Even the can lining has improved. Most major brands now use BPA-NI linings. Stick to BPA-free or BPA-NI labels. Store cans in a cool spot, not a summer garage, and you're already minimizing exposure. Bottom line, inspect the can, drain and rinse, and store smart. Canned beans aren't just safe. They're one of the few canned foods that genuinely deliver both nutrition and peace of mind. And now, the number 1 pantry hero, canned tomatoes. Acidic, versatile, and surprisingly safe, often more so than the fresh versions sitting in your fridge. Open a can, and that sharp hiss and tangy aroma tell you something important. This product is engineered for safety. Tomatoes are high-acid foods with a pH low enough, often under 4.6, to keep botulism bacteria at bay. At industrial retort processing, cans heated above 240 degrees Fahrenheit, and you've got a shelf-stable product that's practically bulletproof against one of the deadliest toxins known. For older adults, that's huge. The foods that really land seniors in the hospital aren't canned tomatoes. They're deli meats, soft cheeses, and other ready-to-eat refrigerated items where listeria can thrive. Canned tomatoes, sterile, acidic, sealed, no bulges, leaks, or deep dents, and the risk is extremely low. The nutrition story is just as good. Processing actually boosts nutrient availability. Lycopene, the antioxidant that makes tomatoes red, is easier for your body to absorb from canned sauce or paste than from a raw slice. A little olive oil in cooking? Absorption goes even higher. Sodium is the one potential catch for older adults. Some cans have salt, but the fix is simple. Choose no salt added varieties and season yourself. Low sodium, less than or equal to 140 milligrams per serving, and very low sodium, less than or equal to 35 milligrams. Labels are regulated, so check the nutrition facts rather than just trusting the front label. Potassium is another consideration. Tomatoes are naturally rich in it, which is good for most hearts, but for anyone on kidney medications or potassium-sparing drugs, watch out. Some low-sodium products swap in potassium chloride, potassium salt, so stick to plain tomato products if that's a concern. And yes, the can lining matters. Most tomato cans are now labeled BPA-free or BPA not intentionally added. The shift away from BPA epoxy helps because tomato acidity can pull chemicals from metal faster. Store in a cool pantry to minimize risk, or use cartons and glass jars if you want to skip metal entirely. Bottom line, canned tomatoes are safe, nutritious, and convenient. Sterile, acidic, and sealed, they deliver antioxidants your body can use, especially when paired with olive oil and smart seasoning. Don't let your pantry turn into a hazard. Hit like if this guide helped, and subscribe for more tips on foods that are safe, senior-friendly, and truly worth keeping on your shelf.